Greetings and welcome to the second episode of Modern Pagan Living. I'm your host, larissanotter. In this episode, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into how I transitioned into becoming a pagan from being a Catholic. Now, why would I tell you about this? Am I just that egotistical? Maybe. No, honestly. I'm telling you this because a lot of pagans feel alone in their journey. A lot of people who want to leave Christianity hold on to it because they're afraid of what would happen if they left that familiarity. I'm telling you my story so that those who feel alone aren't. I'm telling my story in the hopes that it will give courage to those who are afraid to take that leap. So let's get to the beginning. As you know, I grew up Catholic. I didn't go to Catholic school, but I was a good little Catholic girl. I went through most of the rites of passage: baptism, First Communion, reconciliation, and confirmation. I went to CCD, or Sunday school, every Sunday when I was younger. Once I graduated to middle school, I went to youth group. All of this time, I absorbed all of the morals taught by the church, especially that sex was bad. I was definitely not the Catholic slut. About 6th grade, I started to experience things that Catholicism couldn't explain. So I started doing research for myself. This was at a time when the internet was still new. I didn't know how to use it for research yet. So most of my research consisted of books. Through my research, I came up with hypotheses. The only problem is that they didn't fit with my religion. That was a problem for me because I was a good little Catholic girl who wanted to fit in with the church. So I changed my hypotheses to fit the religion. Doing so satisfied me for a while, but I could only do it a couple of years before I couldn't stand the wrongness of changing my beliefs. Now, what was I changing? I was changing the beliefs and hypotheses about the supernatural. I loved watching the History Channel specials about witchcraft and ghosts and other supernatural phenomena. Gathering information was slow going for me because the two libraries I had access to, the school library and the small local library, were small. So it wasn't until 10th grade that I officially stopped practicing Catholicism. Although in my heart, I had stopped a couple of years before that. Now, I will tell you that leaving the church was one of the most difficult things that I did in high school. My entire family is Christian, and I have a big family. Most members on my dad's side were Catholic, my dad being one of 9 siblings. At the tender age of 16, when hormones are wild and fitting in is all the rage, I decided to stand out. I went against what my family's religion was, what I grew up with, the only spirituality that I knew. I was afraid that my family was going to disown me, that I would be thrown out on the streets. But I still did it. For the most part, I didn't get a whole lot of flack from my family. I wasn't disowned, in part I think because I wasn't moving to a new religious path. At that point, I was pretty much agnostic, which means I believed in the cycle, nature was everything, that kind of thing. there were a couple of Wiccan stores that I would hang out in, and I even did a spell at one point to get over a breakup. But now that I look back on that, that was a ridiculous spell from a ridiculous teen witch book. And the only reason I really got over that breakup was because I wanted to move on. But I didn't start practicing either witchcraft or Wicca. Wicca just did not call to me. I dealt with a lot of emotional turmoil after graduating high school and throughout college. I was still handling the separation from the church and trying to find my way spiritually by just feeling and listening. I got frustrated because it wasn't working. This frustration led to depression. Amid this and other stresses going on in my life, I tried to kill myself. It was very difficult to get past that depression. And I honestly believe that if I had not found my path, I would have succeeded eventually in killing myself. Now, over the years, I did pick up some things because of the experiences I had. It was basic stuff like smudging with sage, and I actually did feel that everything was connected. When I lived in an intentional community, not really a commune because I had to pay rent, I was introduced to the goddess, the female side of the divine, whom I had not really known about growing up Catholic. My time was short in this community because my husband got stationed in California. At this point, I was going out in nature a lot, going for long walks, and trying to listen to what the universe had to say to me. Even so, being a military wife was very lonely because Jason had to switch schools in the middle of living in California, and I didn't fit in with the other military wives except for one, and that's because she didn't fit in with the other military wives either. So when I wasn't hanging out with her, I was spending time in nature, because even though I couldn't hear or understand, I felt better and I didn't feel as alone. Now, when Jason got stationed in Oklahoma after tech school, it was really hard on me. I think in part because I grew up around water, and I was around water a lot. Even moving to California, we were by the coast. So, not living near salt water was really difficult for me. Not only that, the weather kind of got to me too. The third day after moving there, our county got a tornado warning. He was sent home early so we could prepare. We hardly knew anyone there, and boom, then there's a natural disaster. Great. Talk about having the shit scared out of you. I'm sorry to those who love Oklahoma, but it blows there. Quite literally. Anyways, after about a month of living there, I decided I needed a job to keep me from going insane. Too late, that already happened. Neither here nor there. I got one, but it was terrible and I was miserable. My husband didn't like me seeing me so depressed, so I looked up local pagan groups since I kind of had an interest in that area. Coincidentally, not really, just because I don't believe in coincidences when it comes to this kind of thing anymore. There was a group that was within walking distance. Now, the group he found was called Sage Grove Coven. What attracted me to the group was the fact that they taught bioenergetical healing. Previously, I had learned that I had an affinity for energy work and had learned a couple of techniques from a lady that I met while I was at the intentional community. After going to the first class, I was elated. What was taught made so much sense to me. So I started studying voraciously. Now, the classes were about witchcraft, and witchcraft and spirituality are different. So I didn't start learning about the spiritual path until later. But as I got further into the studies, I was tested to see if I could be trusted with the spiritual path. I proved myself and slowly started learning about the spiritual path of the Dacian tradition. And the rest is history. So that's the story of how I became pagan. Now, your path is different than mine. I will not try to sell you on becoming part of the Dacian tradition. There are many viable paths, and everyone has to find their own. This is the path that I connected with. It challenges me. It makes me stronger, but it is difficult. Life is not easy, though, and finding your path is not going to be easy. The road is bumpy when there even is a road, but that's why having a teacher is vital, so that they can show you the road, and you can learn from their mistakes, but most of all, you can find your spiritual path so that you can work on being a whole person instead of just mind and body. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to go over some things that can help you to find yourself a teacher and a path that is right for you. Thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode of Modern Pagan Living.